empty the chamber on them. And how do you do that? 4 to 6 seconds, point A to point B, everything you got. Everything you got. Turn that shit up. Let's go.
Welcome to the Scoop World Order. It is game week edition. It is a +1 Monday. A +1 Monday means that the team has an extra practice today, coming off of having some time off over the weekend, kind of recharge the batteries a little bit. It is go time. It is officially game week. So a +1 day is a day where the guys get a little bit extra work. It's a little bit lighter. They might be just been uppers, just shoulder pads, not a physical practice. Tomorrow will be a very physical practice, and a way to start sharpening the sword, get ready for battle on Saturday. So with that being said, as always, thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. We are at an all-time high in YouTube subscriptions. Our videos are really growing like crazy, all because of you guys. Thank you guys so much. We love you guys. Thank you guys for enjoying this content. As always, leave us comments. For this edition, we're going to talk about some of the ancillary parts of special teams, some of the defensive stuff that we expect to see. What do you want to see out of the special teams this year? I know a lot of you guys are Ted Ginn Jr. fans, San Antonio Holmes fans, guys that were big-time returners. I think we have a special one in Nevadabuck. Please comment. What do you want to see out of the special teams? As always, thank you guys. If you enjoy this content, please leave us a like, leave us a comment, and we appreciate you guys because it really makes a difference when you guys do that. So thank you. We love you guys so much. That being said, got my friend Nevadabuck. Nevada, how are you tonight?
Doing great. It's a special night, kind of with our special teams theory, but it's a week before or 6 days now before kickoff, and can't wait. Ohio State's kind of fine tuning some stuff in right now, and waiting to put on a big show on next Saturday night, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, and this is always an interesting weekend around the Woody Hayes. This is a time where guys kind of get named starters, over the weekend, Ryan Day and the position coaches. If there are spots in competition, obviously quarterback's not one, running back's not one. I think the receivers are pretty locked in. The O-line's locked in. Tight end's going to be Cade Stover. Maybe the D ends, is it Jack Sawyer, Zach Harrison? Is it JT, Zach Harrison? I can't imagine Jack Sawyer is not a starter. The linebackers, I think, are pretty solid. The corners, not as much competition as there has been in the past, but usually now is when guys get named to those spots. But talk a little bit about Nevada. Some of these guys that don't get named starters, how you've seen over the years how they can kind of progress and regain more snaps playing on the defense or even on the offense via special teams.
Yeah, well, that's the point. The second Wiseman's always said that, the path to the field, for the non-starters is through special teams. You want to impress somebody, you make a play on special teams. And, he's also famous for saying, great linebackers don't redshirt. And I remember very vividly, one of I don't know why this play sticks out of my mind, but, Bobby Carpenter's freshman year comes down the field and makes the opening tackle on the opening play of the season on the kickoff return or the kickoff coverage team. And, it just, for those guys that are looking for a way to play, special teams is the path. And Ohio State really believes they have an edge in special teams this year. And, I'm a Packers fan in the NFL, and, they had special teams breakdowns last year all season long, and it cost them, at the worst possible time. The NFC Championship game got a punt blocked and lost the game because of it. Well, Ohio State feels like they've got athletes all over the field. They can make special plays, and they're really spending a lot of time on the special teams this year. And I think you're going to see some interesting things out of the units this season for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a tremendous opportunity for some younger guys to really earn their stripes. I mean, I know a guy like Brian Hartline went down and knocked a kid out in 2006. We're playing Indiana, and he split a kid's wig running down on kickoff. And, when you do that, it just shows that you're a tough guy. You're a guy that you're not scared to get your hands dirty, get your nails dirty, go do your thing. And I think coaches love that. Guys that are the first ones to jump up when you need a volunteer to run down on kickoff, even if it's on scout team kickoff, because there's a scout team kickoff, and that can be hard at the end of practice when guys they're gassed and their legs are gone, and all of a sudden you got to run down and cover some kicks. But I always love guys that are ready to go in special teams. And when I was coaching, I used to tell young kids, I'm like, look, don't, this isn't high school anymore. Like, you can't look at it like that's, I'm too good to play special teams, because once you get to the NFL, unless you're Adrian Peterson or Calvin Johnson, everybody plays special teams. If you're not a first round pick, you better know how to cover a kick. You better know how to set a wedge. You better know how to, do all those dirty things that, frankly, you don't have to do. Like in college, like offensive linemen don't set the wedge like they do in the NFL. And, it's a thing that I think a lot of these guys can, they could get a letter, and these guys all want to be 3 and out. They all want to play. And if you carve out a nice role on special teams, for those of you that are tuned in on YouTube right now, Nevada and I were thinking of we study a lot of film, behind the scenes, just so we really know what we're talking about. Nevada and I were like, something that would be interesting to watch would be Jim Knowles' last game that he coached. So this is the Big 12 championship. It is Baylor versus Oklahoma State. So obviously none of the players will be playing in the shoe on Saturday, other than Tanner McAllister, who's he's playing the nickel safety. But it's just more to see the kind of the scheme. Obviously, this is a huge game, the Big 12 championship. But it's more just to kind of see, how we're going to line up. I don't think that Notre Dame will be this wide open compared to Baylor, but this is a set that you could easily see out of Notre Dame. You got 2 tight ends, kind of wing, in a pistol. Notre Dame could do something very similar to this, and you can just kind of see, how they set up on defense. They've got their jack look, their stand-up guy to the field. Let me illustrate it out because that's what you guys tune in. Here they've got the jack, the stand-up guy to the field, which the field is literally the field. This is the bench, the short side of the field. The field is the wide side of the field. So when I say that, I'm not trying to go football speak on you guys, but it's just always interesting to see how Jim Knowles, because if you're Notre Dame and you're getting ready to play Oklahoma State, you've studied this game a lot to see what you're going to get from Jim Knowles' defense. Obviously, they played Oklahoma State in the bowl game. Jim Knowles was not there, but it was the same skeleton crew. It was his graduate assistants, and they ran the same defense, but it wasn't him. So this was the last game he coached. So I'm just going to let this run while we talk. But Nevada, give me some names of some guys that you expect to make an impact on special teams. Maybe who's going to be some guys that they could feature in the return game at both punt and kick return. Maybe some guys that could be impact guys as gunners. Who have you been hearing? Give me some names.
Well, you always look to those backup linebackers and those backup safeties as guys that are, really going to be first down on special teams. And, Ohio State's always played, top-notch guys in their special teams. Remember, last year they had Olave covering kicks. I mean, Chris Olave, top 10 pick in the draft, and he's out there covering kicks. But, for some of the young guys, I fully expect Sonny Styles and C.J. Hicks and Kai Stokes and Jair Brown to be, Chip Trantham to be featured prominently on the special teams. And Ohio State has a goal. Ohio State wants to make at least one big special teams play every week and break up in a game. And, you can do that with a block kick, a big return. Last year in the Rose Bowl, they pretty much saved the game with their kickoff return game, and they feel like they've got something. I've talked about on our board how the goal this year is to return 5 kicks for touchdowns, which has never been done before at Ohio State, and they think they've got the formula to do it. But I think they're going to look to try to make some plays on special teams. They've been spending a lot of time on it, and I think with Emeka's a special returner. You hate to even compare anybody to the great Ted Ginn. So apologies, Ted, just in advance for even mentioning somebody in the same breath. But he's got that kind of ability. He's got that kind of timing. He's got that kind of vision. He's got that kind of acceleration. And Emeka's going to be out there. And if they get the ball, he's going to be returning it. And they believe they can make big plays on all sides of the ball on special teams. And I would not be surprised at all to see a special teams play maybe early in the game against Notre Dame, because Ohio State's got a lot of confidence that they can do things. Now, when special teams plays don't work out, then they're always bad. I think about the Nebraska-Northwestern game this week, and Nebraska goes up 11, and Scott Frost tries an onside kick, and it gets recovered, and Northwestern comes down and scores, and the Nebraska fans are just furious that it was the dumbest play of all time. But had it worked, it would have been, Scott Frost is a genius. He's so aggressive. So I think Dave's cognizant of the fact that special teams things can go either way, but I think he's looking to break games open with special teams. He feels like he's got a real advantage, and I think Ohio State's going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's always, it's kind of like I remember the TCU play, because when you have the opening weekend, I mean, you've literally had a lot of time to implement something, put it in, practice it like crazy. It's not like you're on a normal game week, a shorter game week. It's kind of an entirely different ball of wax when you're getting ready for a Notre Dame, and you really, that first game is, we've never had an opening game like this. I remember when we played Texas week 2 a couple years in a row. Like when you have that big second game, you can study for them, obviously a lot during the summer, but when you open with a team, I mean, you watch so much film that you're just sick of watching film with these guys. It's kind of like playing in a bowl game. And I think it'll be interesting to see what they implement. Something that's really important about when you hear something like Chris Olave is a guy that's a gunner, or Jameson Williams, or Terry McLaurin. I mean, we've had some first round high dollar guys as our gunners, and something that's important about the way Urban Meyer does punting is he really he puts a premium on hang time and positioning. So when you have guys like Olave running down there, they generally, unless the punter absolutely goes off the rails and doesn't kick it high enough, they generally aren't tackling the returner. They run down there, the ball skies in the air, and they're literally taught to scream, obscenities and crazy stuff at the returners to try to get them to muff it. So they're generally, you put your guys that run 4.3 running down there so they get down there fast, and they kind of try to spook them. But, you don't really do it to have Chris Olave going down there, tackling guys, because you don't want to do that with your first round wide receivers. But I just thought that was an important point, because normally, like when I think of a punt return, I think of kick it as far as you can, see it, get your gunners down there to try to make a tackle. But the way Urban, and now Ryan Day run it, it's more just to sky it and get the guys down there so that it's almost always a fair catch and you're not giving up a return yardage. With that being said, who are some guys as the season goes on that you could see progressing from initially being special teamers to maybe growing into the defense? Maybe some young guys, maybe some CJ Hicks types. I think of AJ Hawk when he was young, Ryan Shazier, guys that really grew from special teamers into full-time starters later in the season. Who are some guys that you think could potentially do that in Nevada?
Well, I mean, again, I've talked about Kai Stokes many times, but as much as you've got the tape of Jim Knowles' defense running the back. I mean, he likes to run that 4-2-5, and when you have that 5, you're running 3 safeties, and so it's a question of who that third safety is going to be there. Running around. You've got your free and your strong safety kind of locked in, but who's going to be that third safety? And Tanner McAllister's been doing a heck of a job, been out there. But Kai's a guy that could move for playing time. And if I had to pick one guy that you said, who's going to see regular playing time, as the young guys go, that would be him, because I think, he's got everything that you want in a safety. And, Knowles just loves those safety looks. It's a safety-centric defense for sure. And Kai's a big hitter, great cover guy. And I think he could move from special teams to being special player in a very, very short period of time. And again, it just goes to show you that, you don't get too hung up on the recruiting rankings all the time. Kai came in, I wouldn't say he was lightly regarded, but he wasn't like a 5-star, can't miss type of kid. And, he very well ended up being one of the best kids, if not the best kid in the entire recruiting class. So you just never know. Be excited about every recruit. And Kai Stokes is my pick for a guy to move up.
Yeah, I mean, and Kai's a kid that he's not scared of anything. He's a really, really fluid guy. And frankly, safety it's a really dangerous position. It's a hard position. It's a position where, frankly, a lot of guys get hurt. I mean, we've seen Lathan Ransom, Josh Proctor, pretty severe injuries. You got to make quick breaks. A lot of times big hits. You're the guy who's filling the alley in the running game. So you're running up on a Trey Henderson or Kenneth Walker or some really good tailback, and he's a house, and you got a 10-yard running start, and that can lead to a shoulder. It can lead to a head injury. I mean, it's a very tough position to play. You got to be a tough guy. And when you run 3 of them, you got to have some depth, because these guys are going to get dinged up. And like Lathan Ransom's had a fantastic camp, but he literally had an air cast put on his knee at the Rose Bowl. So I mean, he's come back from a severe injury. Obviously, Josh Proctor, we know what he's coming back from. So it's it's tough. I mean, those guys, and you got to just keep building depth because we're not used to running three safeties, and we're recruiting a ton of safeties right now just to keep the pipeline full. But a guy like Kai Stokes and a guy like Sonny Styles, like they're one play away from being in, and these guys got to be ready to go because as we saw last year with Bryson Shaw, I mean, God bless him, he was ready to go when Josh Proctor got hurt, but I mean, it was. He went out, and I mean, Oregon ran for 260 yards against us or whatever it was, and when Proctor went down, it was a gaping hole. So those young guys have got to be ready to go. I think it's going to be interesting to see what Jim Knowles does. I mean, the interesting thing about this game is Baylor's pretty much a spread team, but they're running a lot of double tights. They left the tight end scot free. Here's a sack fumble. Great play by Oklahoma State. If this holds here, but I mean he's bringing it from everywhere. I mean that's kind of if you guys are on YouTube, this is one of the neat things. Is I mean he's running like a mix blitz. He's got 3 down here. Switches the 2 linebackers. They hit opposite gaps. They kind of pick where they go. 20, he's the Mike linebacker. Excuse me, he's the Will. He kind of wraps, and hits the hole. Then he covers the delay tight end, and I think this is an incomplete pass. I think that might be a lateral. I don't know. I can't tell. We'll see on the next play, but but it causes a really rushed throw by the quarterback. It looks like it was rolled incomplete pass. But yeah, it's really interesting to see the fronts they run, how they use the stand up jacks. I think we're going to see the stand up jack just because when it comes to run fits, like here at number 9, if you're on YouTube, is the jack, and he's they're in this odd front, and all of a sudden he jumps into the B gap. But does he stay there? He does this time, as he's pass rushing, but he doesn't have to stay there. He could probably bounce back out, just kind of mess around, and then right before the ball snapped, he can get out of there. So as soon as the quarterback snaps, he could delay, he could drop. I mean, it's and as an offensive lineman, it's tough when you're trying to make calls, and I think this will really benefit Ohio State with 8 home games. With the noise, it's hard to adjust your call at the last second when a guy jumps in like that. So, good offensive linemen, they're just going to have to, have a call that says, hey, we're going to gang it, which means we're going to zone the whole thing. Or we're going to turn, we're going to do a full slide protection, a gap protection where you just block your inside gap. I think that's the only way you can really fully handle a jack if he's moving around the way that I plan on him doing. Nevada, in terms of bold predictions, we started a thread on bold predictions for Ohio State this year. Mine was that we will have 50 sacks, which is extremely bold based on our pass rush last year. We actually had 37, which is more than I thought we did last year. But I think 50, 8 home games, noise. I think the emergence of Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau. Jim Knowles' defense at Oklahoma State led the nation with 57 sacks. What do you think is a bold prediction that you would like to make on the show today?
I'm going to predict that Ohio State has 2,000-yard rushers this year. Going with Henderson and Mayan Williams, both rush for 1,000 yards, which is pretty bold because I'm not sure how many times that's happened before at Ohio State or if that's happened before at Ohio State, but that's what I'm going to call. I'm going to call for 2,000-yard rushers at Ohio State this year, and I think it's bold, but I think it's also doable.
Yeah, I think that would be something that I think Mayan is a really special player. The more I've studied him in the offseason, the more he's a legit NFL guy. He's a guy that he'll probably go mid to late rounds in an NFL draft. He'll make a team, and he'll be a guy that he'll get a shot in the league, and he'll carry the mail and do really well. I think he's physical, he's tough. I mean, his high school film is out of this world, and he really was shining. He beat out Master Teague, who a lot of people thought would be the starter going into the Minnesota game last year. Obviously, he had the huge run on the busted play. Then Trey Henderson kind of took over down the stretch, but I think you need to keep both of them fresh, and hopefully they'll be closer to I don't know if it's a 50-50 workload. It might be like 45-45-10, or maybe like a 50-40-10. I think you got to sprinkle Dallin Hayden in. I think that the one unfortunate thing about losing Evan Pryor is you won't get to see Dallin Hayden running down on kickoffs or covering on special teams the way that we saw Ezekiel Elliott doing it in 2013. That was kind of a thing where Ezekiel ran down against Purdue. It's a pretty well-renowned clip where he crushed a guy running down on kickoff, and that kind of started his whole lore. But the thing I loved about Urban is like, when anytime a kid thought he was too cool for school and he wasn't going to run down and shoot, he could show him a clip of Ezekiel Elliott, who's top 5 pick, running down on kickoff and splitting the guy's wig. And that's the neat thing about Ohio State, is everybody has to do the tough stuff. Here we turn to tight end, so I hope we don't do that against Michael Meyer, because he's a really, really good tight end. But yeah, it's just interesting. Again, I threw this up because, as a coaching staff, you really do study the games. Like I would guess that, if Notre Dame was getting ready, Tommy Rees, their offensive coordinator, and their staff, I would guess that they studied more Oklahoma State film than Ohio State film from last year, just because you have to know the scheme more so than the personnel. Obviously, the personnel is important. You're going to study some Ohio State, but when the scheme changes, when the coordinators change, I don't even think it's worth looking at the film from last year. You might individually study the players a little bit, but I think it's more knowing where the guy's going to line up, because when you're getting Notre Dame's offense ready to go, like, this is the defense they're going to see. They're not, and obviously they're going to watch that bowl game footage a lot from the bowl game that they played in. So, but yeah, I just wanted to show this to you guys real quick. Nevada, any closing thoughts as we lock this one up? Again, we appreciate you guys. What you got, Nevada, to end this thing for the day?
Not just again, to echo your words, we just appreciate everyone. We're trying to present a product that's different than everybody else's, to give people a different perspective, to make people a little bit smarter fan, give some unique insights. And we're getting a lot of feedback from our consumers that's exactly what we're doing, which makes us really happy. So if you're looking for something a little different, if you're looking for some unique insight to Ohio State football and college football in general, come become a member of our site, BuckeyeScoop.com, and join our great community. And we really appreciate it, and we'll see everybody on the message board.
All right, that's perfect. I'm gonna wrap this thing up. As always, thank you guys so much. This has been another great episode. We just kind of want to give you a little insight on how coordinators prepare for big games. Obviously, this is a different one because it's the opener. It's the biggest game of week one. It's college game day. It's the whole shebang. They announced Jack Harlow as a special guest picker. Personally, I hate that because you could have Jim Tressel do it, but that's ESPN for you. So, as always, thank you guys so much. You guys mean so much to us. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Comment who is going to be the special team standout for Ohio State football this year. I mean, Emeka seems like one. Is there going to be a guy running down on kickoff you're going to love to see? A gunner that turns into Terry McLaurin? A guy that blocks punts? A guy that blocks field goals? It could be anything. So we really try to give you guys a really good product. We try to maybe teach you something. I'm not some professor of football knowledge, but I really... I coached for 3 years under Urban Meyer, learned a lot of stuff. I try to make it easy, something to see you say, oh, I didn't know that. So that's kind of what we try to do here. So appreciate you guys as always, guys and girls. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please leave us a like. If you are on any of the podcast formats, Apple, Spotify, etc., leave us a 5-star review. It helps people find the podcast. We appreciate you guys as always. Thank you so much, Scoop family, and thank you, Buckeye Nation. Hope you have a great rest of your Monday. This has been the Scoop World Order. Go Bucks.